Welcome to Kadampa podcasts. These podcasts offer practical solutions to daily challenges and help guide us to a happier and more peaceful state of mind. In each episode, you will find an extract from a teaching given by one of various Kadampa Buddhist teachers worldwide. All these teachings are inspired by the profound wisdom of Venerable Geshe Khalsang Gyatso Rinpoche, a Buddhist master for our time. We hope you enjoy listening.
So for the class this evening, I'm using this book, Modern Buddhism, The Path of Compassion and Wisdom. And this book's available as a free download, as well as to buy in paper form. So what I'd like to do first of all is just to, because remember this is an introduction to modern Buddhism, so I'd like to explain to you what Buddhism is and what's the aim of it. You know, why do we practice Buddhism? What's the benefit for us to practice it? So on page 3 it says, Buddhism is the practice of Buddha's teachings, also called Dharma, which means protection. By practicing Buddha's teachings, living beings are permanently protected from suffering. The founder of Buddhism is Buddha Shakyamuni, who showed the manner of accomplishing the ultimate goal of living beings, the attainment of enlightenment at Bodh Gaya in India in 589 BC. Buddha gave 84,000 teachings, and from these precious teachings, Buddhism has developed in this world. Okay, so Buddhism, all Buddhism, is the practice of Buddha's teachings. The teachings are called Dharma. And the word Dharma means protection, because the idea is that Buddha's teachings are protection, that by gaining an understanding of the teachings, and you don't have to be Buddhist to gain this, but to gain an understanding of the teachings and mixing these teachings with your mind, what happens is your mind becomes protected. Okay, so Buddhist teachings are protection for the mind. So, you know, we spend a lot of time protecting our body, protecting our external world, protecting our possessions, etc., from harm. But we don't do a lot. Maybe you do, but generally people don't do a lot to protect their mind. Okay? Instead, we expose our mind without protection to whatever is appearing in our life. Okay? We just get up and go. And whatever's appearing, we have no mental protection. Okay? So this is a bit like running across a motorway. Okay? We're going to get hurt. And it's the same. If we don't protect our mind, there's so much coming at us in all different directions that we're mentally going to experience a lot of pain. So in order to survive this very difficult and very challenging world that we all share and we are all part of, and all the human problems that we have to experience, we need inner protection. External protection is not enough. Protecting this body is not enough. Protecting our possessions is not enough. We need inner protection. And so that's why Dharma, these teachings, when we mix our mind with these teachings, we get inner protection. So Buddha gave 84,000 teachings, and he gave 84,000 different meditation objects. It's amazing, a lot of meditation objects. So when we hear that, immediately creates humility within our mind, because it doesn't matter how long we've been studying Buddhism, what we know about Buddhism, there's always a lot more to learn. 84,000 teachings, 84,000 different meditation objects. Also, if you find certain teachings of Buddhism challenging, there's always something you're going to find helpful and beneficial. There's 84,000. One of them is going to suit you. So today so Buddha gave 84,000 teachings, and from these precious teachings, Buddhism developed in this world. So today we can see many different forms of Buddhism, such as Zen and Theravada Buddhism, All these different aspects are practices of Buddha's teachings, and all are equally precious. So all Buddha's teachings are equally precious, but they are just different presentations. Right? So there's many different types of Buddhism, which is sometimes a shock for people because they tend to think, oh no, it's as complicated as any other view because there's all these different schools. But yet there's many different schools of Buddhism, but they're all taken, if they're authentic, they're taken from Buddha's teachings. Now, the type of Buddhism that we practice here is what's called a Kadampa Buddhism. Okay, and this is because the teacher, the spiritual guide who established this tradition, Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, who you'll see pictures of around the centre and here, that was the type of Buddhism that he trained in, okay, from an early age. So then he trained up his teachers and helped to develop these centres, all in accordance with this tradition of Buddhism. So I'll just explain a little bit about this tradition of Buddhism. Okay, so all Buddha's teachings, so within Buddha's teachings, you've probably heard these two words, sutra and tantra, but within Buddha's teachings, there are both sutra and tantra. Sutra is the method teachings, the teachings that we use every day, working on our gross levels of mind. Tantric teachings work on a deeper level of mind, our subtle levels of mind. Okay? Ultimately, we need to practice both sutra and tantra, but generally our introduction to Buddhism is sutra. And then when we have a foundation in sutra, we feel that that we'd like to then improve our understanding, improve the power of our meditation, we then will maybe study Tantra. But ultimately what it's like two flowers that you've got growing and you're watering them simultaneously. Okay, so we practice both Sutra and Tantra, though our original introduction will be Sutra. However, Buddha's teachings are the supreme medicine that permanently cures both physical sickness and sickness of delusions. Just as doctors give different medicine for different sicknesses, so Buddha gave different Dharma medicine according to people's different capacities. So he gave simple teachings to those of initial scope, profound teachings to those of middle in scope, and very profound teachings to those of great scope. Okay, so Buddha gave different teachings for people's capacity. Now, the capacity isn't fixed. It's not like, oh no, I'll only be able to study the initial teachings because I've not got a lot of capacity. Your capacity increases and grows as your understanding does. So ultimately what happens is you study all the teachings, but we've got to begin somewhere. So Buddha gave lots of different teachings. We've got 84,000 teachings. Why did he give so many? Because just like a doctor, if you go to a doctor, they don't just give one pill to everybody. Yeah. So in the same way, Buddhist teachings, there are specific teachings for every single situation that we are having to deal with in our life. There are specific teachings to how to develop our mind in certain ways. There are specific teachings how to train ourselves in different types of meditation. Okay, so there's many, many different teachings, but we will draw on different teachings at different times due to our capacity and what it is that we want to learn at that time, and also due to our own karma. So in practice, all these teachings are part of Kadam Lam Rim. So this is just explaining what Kadampa Buddhism is. So Kadampa Buddhism it's Kadam Lam Rim. All right, so it's called Kadampa Buddhism, but it's the teachings of Kadam Lam Rim. And Kadam Lam Rim holds within it the 84,000 teachings of Buddha. So the so Lam Rim is just the different stages of training that we need to go through in order to take our mind to its highest level. Okay, so it's just different stages. All the different realizations are like if you can imagine a big jigsaw of your mind, and at the moment our mind has got a lot of stuff in it that's of no benefit to us. And what Dharma helps us to do is to filter out all the stuff within our own mind that's no good for us, that actually causes us harm, and to replace it with really good things that will make our mind much more healthier, much more powerful, much more wiser, compassionate, etc. Until ultimately our whole mind starts to function on a higher level. So what is wonderful about Buddhist teachings is it's accessible to everyone. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like, oh no, there's no way you could practice them because you're not smart enough, or there's no way you could practice them because you've done lots of horrible things in your life, or there's no way you could practice them because you've got a lot of anger, or no, you couldn't practice them because, just the normal way in which we judge society and what people can achieve and what they can't. Buddhism isn't like that. If we have a wish to practice, we can practice and we can gain realizations. So the realizations are accessible for everybody. So for this reason, Jason Karpa said that when we listen to the entire Lamrim, we are listening to all Buddha's teachings. And when we practice the entire Lamrim, we are practicing all Buddha's teachings. So Kadam Lamrim is a condensation of all Buddha's teachings. Now this is the bit that's interesting. It is very practical and suitable for everyone, and its presentation is superior to other instructions. Okay, so it's very practical and suitable for everybody. Okay? So it's completely accessible, as I was explaining to you before, but it's practical. Why is it practical? Because it gives us methods and techniques to change our mind, change our view, change the way we experience our life, and then to put this into practice. And as a result of that, our experience of our life changes. Okay? So it's very, very practical. It's not academic study. It's not people do study Buddhism in an academic way and become great scholars of Buddhism. But Kadam Lamrim is about practical application of what we're learning. And by putting it into practice, we then gain experience. This experience is our Dharma realization, and then we know it to be a truth. Okay, so when we go through later on, when I go through the teachings later on in the term, the different meditations, I'll explain the meditations. Now, for me, they're a truth because I've tried to meditate on them, I've put them into practice, and I know they change my mind and I'm happier for it. For people, when I'm presenting them, they're not yet a truth. You don't know whether it's true or not. It's not just true because I'm saying it. And Buddha says it's not just true because he's saying it. It only becomes a truth if we put it into practice. We experience from our own side, wow, that works. This really works. Therefore, it is a truth. So Buddhism is a scientific method. It's a science because everybody puts it into practice in different ways in their life, but everybody will experience the same results. So through gaining experience of Lamrim, we will understand that none of Buddha's teachings are contradictory, and we shall put all Buddha's teachings into practice. We shall easily realize Buddha's ultimate view and intention, and we'll become free from all mistaken views and intentions. So everyone, both Buddhist and non-Buddhist, needs permanent liberation from suffering and pure everlasting happiness. This wish will be fulfilled through Lamrim practice. Therefore, it is the real wish-fulfilling jewel. So that's the aim of Buddhism. Okay? So the aim of Buddhism is to help us to destroy the root cause of our suffering, which is within our mind, and to be able then to attain permanent happiness. Okay? So that's what Buddhism's all about. Now, it can be used on that journey for lots of different things. You know, how to improve our relationships, how to be more successful, how to be more relaxed, how to be less stressed. It can be used to produce and help us to be more peaceful throughout our day. Okay, but ultimately, the ultimate goal of modern Buddhism is to help us to attain the highest level of mind that we possibly can as human beings, which is the mind of enlightenment. And a mind of enlightenment is a mind that has completely destroyed all negativity within it, and it understands the true nature of reality. It completely understands everything without any confusion. So in general, all Buddha's teachings, the Dharma, are very precious, but Kadampa or Lamrim is very special. Buddha Dharma that is suitable for everyone without exception. So the great master, Kadampa, said, Kadam Dharma is like a mala of gold, so like a prayer bead of gold, just as everyone, even those who do not use a mala or prayer beads, would be happy to accept a gift of gold mala because it is made of gold. In a similar way, everyone, even non-Buddhists, can receive benefit from Kadam Dharma. This is because there is no difference between Kadam Dharma and people's everyday experiences. Right? It's very, very practical. It's helping us to understand the sufferings that we experience without choice, where that suffering comes from, and what's the best solution, both on a temporary level and an ultimate level. So it's very, very practical. Even without studying or listening to Dharma, some people often come to similar conclusions as those explained in Kadam Dharma teachings, through looking at newspapers or television and understanding the world situation. This is because Kadam Dharma accords with people's daily experience. It cannot be separated from daily life. So it's the union of Buddhism, Kadam Buddhism, and our daily life. Okay, so it's not like we're a practice of Buddhism and then there's our daily life, right? It's the union of both. And it accords with people's own experience. So often what happens is you start to hear the teachings that Buddha gave, certain teachings, and you think, oh, I've always thought that. Oh, gosh, that really makes sense. That really makes sense to me. Now I understand. Now I've always sort of thought there was something. Now I understand. Do you see what it is? So it's not, some of the things we might think, oh wow, I don't get that. That's a bit way out for me. But a lot of it, particularly at the level of these classes, it sounds like common sense. And the thing is, in our modern life, we've sort of lost common sense a bit, It's all gone a bit crazy, hasn't it? And our minds sort of lost its confidence in common sense. So Dharma is a lot of common sense, and it's a lot of methods to help us to believe in the good in people and in the good in ourselves. Because again, in our modern life, there's many, many opportunities to not believe in the good in people. And there's many, many opportunities, because how fast and busy and challenging our life is, for us to feel very discouraged about our own potential. And to really beat ourselves up, feeling that we're rubbish in many, many different ways. But Dharma helps us to instead to see the potential within every living being and the potential within ourself. And it helps us to focus on the good qualities of others and the good qualities of ourselves. And it gives us hope, because, often nowadays, I think, and all ages, life can feel quite hopeless. It all feels a bit bleak and a bit hopeless. And we can sort of go with that because that's sort of common view. What's everybody talking about? How bleak everything is, how expensive everything is, how challenging everything is. What's the point? All those things. And depression is so high now. So many people depressed. So levels of high anxiety. Many, many people having to take medication because their minds are so troubled. This is very, very normal. And what Buddhism helps us to do is, because a lot of that is coming from the fact that everything feels hopeless, that there seems no hope. Whereas Buddhism gives us a different way of viewing, and so we find hope. So this is because Kadam Dharma accords with people's daily experience. It cannot be separated from daily life. Everybody needs to make their lives happy and meaningful. Right? So it's coming from, the essence of it is that everybody needs to have a happy life and a meaningful life. We all need that. If we don't have a happy and meaningful life, then we feel like as if there is no hope. Right? From the moment we're born, all we want to be is happy. And as we sort of go forward and we begin to understand more and be able to cognize and understand our world more, we try to find meaning in it. We try to find meaning in our relationships. We try to find meaning in our families. We try to find meaning in our jobs, etc. So we're all wanting meaning, to feel that my life is meaningful, and we want to be happy. So everyone needs to make their lives happy and meaningful, to solve temporarily their human problems, and to enable them ultimately to find pure and everlasting happiness. So in order to do this, we have to learn to control our negative states of mind.
If you feel inspired by this podcast, then dive deeper into timeless wisdom of modern Kadampa Buddhism by following the link in the episode description. We look forward to reconnecting with you in the next episode of Kadampa Podcasts.